Street Stories NYC. Street Stories NYC. Street Stories NYC. Hey, it's Michael Knight, the New York Cowboy here, bringing you another exciting episode from the Street Stories NYC series. Tonight, our story is taken from the book Sexual Harassment, and our character is Angela. Angela shrieked as Hubert reached out and squeezed her buttocks as she turned to leave his office. She swore to herself that she wasn't going to allow him the chance to do that to her anymore. But the more she tried avoiding him, the harder he tried to get her alone. Hubert had only graduated to touching her buttocks in the last month. He first started out with things like, "That blouse really fits you well," and "That skirt highlights the shape of your legs." Angela had no idea that it would escalate into this abuse she was dealing with now. The look on his face of sheer lust and his nasty little grubby fingers just disgusted Angela. Angela went into the employee lounge where two of the other female employees were sitting, having coffee. "From the look on your face, I guess you just came out of Hubert's office," exclaimed Hillary. "I just feel like hacking off his hand with a machete every time that he reaches out to touch me," said Angela. Vanessa said, "I feel the same way. One of these days he's going to get what he deserves." All three of the women needed their jobs desperately. They all had children and they were struggling to make it from paycheck to paycheck, and the job paid well. They knew they could bring charges against Hubert and the company, but they knew they might have to face public humiliation and probably lose their jobs. Even if they ended up getting a settlement, it could take forever, and it might affect them getting another job, where if a man was in charge, he might be guilty of the same thing, and he would never hire someone that he knew that spoke out against sexual harassment. They would also have to depend on the other women coming forward and testifying, and most of the women weren't going to take those risks. Angela knew there were a few women on the job that made it more difficult to put an end to the harassment, like Tiffany, that would come out of Hubert's office with a smile on her face, licking her lips and just wiping the dust off her knees. Angela would cut her eyes at Tiffany every time that she came near her. Just then a man in uniform walked into the lounge with a toolbox and went over to the sink. "I understand that the garbage disposal is not working?" he turned and asked, looking at the three women. "That's right. It's been weeks now. That's why there is an out-of-order sign sitting in the sink," said Vanessa, trying not to sound sarcastic. Oh, sorry. Silly of me. I didn't even notice the sign. I will have it fixed in no time," said the man. The women were so caught up in the conversation that they didn't even notice when the man exited the room claiming, "It's fixed. Have a nice day, ladies." Angela came into the office the next morning figuring she was going to try a new approach. Angela was the newest girl on the job, and she thought that Hubert must love every time that there was a new female employee, because it was like there was new meat for him to sample and tenderize. As she went into Hubert's office to hand him her morning report, she stopped short and bent over a little and groaned out loud. "What's the matter?" asked Hubert as he rose from his chair. "Oh, I'm sorry. You don't have to get up. I'll be fine. It's just, that woman's monthly thing, and it's very heavy, and I get bad cramps," stated Angela, hoping to disgust Hubert. To his surprise and dismay, Hubert reached into his top drawer and bounded towards her and said, "I keep these heavy-duty pads for all of the ladies that run out. You'd be surprised how often these things have come in handy." Hubert smiled and handed her the pads, saying, "You go on back to work and feel better. I have pills for the pain, too, if you didn't bring any." As she turned in complete disbelief, Hubert reached down and put his hand on her buttocks and said, Oh, that pad is full. You definitely have to change that. Angela just wanted to die. The next morning, as Angela headed into Hubert's office, she stuck her finger into her mouth just far enough to make her gag, and as she got through the door, she vomited right in front of Hubert's desk. She said to herself that this had to be the final blow to turn Hubert off and make him leave her alone. Amazingly, Hubert got down on his hands and knees with a towel, and as he began to wipe the floor, he said, "Oh, it looks like you had Chinese food last night," noticing the rice in the mixture. "I love eating out. I was wondering if you and I could go for dinner one evening soon after work." Angela first gave Hubert a stunned look and then turned quickly, exiting the room before Hubert could get up and grope her again. She told herself, "Now I'm going to have to get really dirty." Angela got to work early that Friday because she wanted to try to end the week with the Hubert problem dealt with before another week began. She went into the bathroom and began unrolling the toilet paper from off of the dispenser. Angela took the melted chocolate bar out of her bag and smeared it all over about a 2-foot-long piece of toilet tissue. Then she wet a smaller piece and creamed some of the chocolate on that piece as well. She took the longer piece and tucked it into her belt in the back so that it would hang down to just below her buttocks. She took the smaller piece and put it under her shoe so that it stuck to it as she walked. She almost giggled as she got to Hubert's office and opened the door. "Oh, good morning, Hubert," she said, smiling. She dropped the report on his desk and turned to exit as she heard Hubert getting up out of his chair. She heard him stop short and exclaim, "Angela, there's something on your pants and your shoe." Angela looked back first and then down at her shoe like she was shocked and then embarrassed. "Oh my gosh, I am so sorry. I had a colonoscopy yesterday and it has just been a nightmare. I've been to the bathroom so many times and I hardly got any sleep. I feel like I'm sleepwalking. Please forgive me," she said, trying not to look like she was pretending. She grabbed up the paper from behind her and her shoe and rolled them up. Hubert was on her in a flash. He put his foot in front of the door and began massaging her behind. He took the rolled up paper from her hand and put it to his nose. He exclaimed with a big smile, "It almost smells like chocolate. You let me know if you need me to come over and massage you anytime. Anything I can do to help. That's what I'm here for. I want you to look at me as kind of a father or a big brother that you can come to with any situation that arises in your life. When someone really cares for you, they accept that inside and out we're all alike and we're just human beings with human functions." Angela just grabbed the doorknob and forced her way out of the office and walked away totally destroyed. She told herself that this thing was bigger than her, and she felt like unless there was some divine intervention, she was going to have to live with this on a daily basis, and she knew that it was only going to get worse. She told herself that she would start sending out resumes over the weekend. The weekend went by quickly, and Angela tried not to let her boyfriend, Osvaldo, know why she seemed so depressed and distant. She knew that if he knew what was going on at the job, that he would go in and beat the hell out of Hubert. Osvaldo was a big man, and he was also possessive and jealous, but she knew that he loved her dearly, and he would catch a charge for Angela if he even thought another man was touching his woman. He had been in jail before, and he would go back in a minute to defend his Angela. Monday morning, Angela went into the lounge to get her coffee, and it seemed like all of the women were in that morning having their coffee and chatting. Moments later, in came Hubert. Just then one of the older women blurted out, "He should learn to keep his hands to himself," as she ducked her head down, hiding behind one of the other women. "Who said that?" snapped Hubert. "I want to know who said that right now. I am the best thing that ever happened to you women, and that's how you repay me, by talking trash? Well, maybe I should just keep my hands to myself. Maybe I should. You know what? Maybe I should chop my hand off. Maybe, would that make you happy?" Hubert turned and walked over to the sink and pushed his hand down into the drain and reached for the switch to the garbage disposal. "So, would this make you happy? If I mangled my hand, would that do it for you?" Hubert acted like he didn't see the sign that said "out of order" still sitting on the sink as he flipped the switch. Angela shouted, "Hubert, don't! The man fixed the garbage disposal the other day." But it was too late. Hubert screamed as his hand was sucked down into the powerful disposal, mangling his hand before anyone was able to shut it off. There was blood everywhere. It wasn't long before Hubert was back at work, and Angela just knew that she wouldn't have to worry about him anymore. She felt a little guilty that she was kind of glad that Hubert's hand had to be amputated. She bounced into his office with a look of pity when she dropped her report on his desk. She looked at the protective covering on his hand and asked shyly, "Does it hurt much?" Hubert smirked at her as he removed the protective covering on his hand and held up a bloody stump. "What do you think? You want to kiss it and make it better?" Horrified, Angela quickly left his office and headed to the employee lounge. She spotted Vanessa and Alex in the hallway and waved hi when Vanessa asked, "What's that on the back of your skirt?" Angela twisted and turned to see what Vanessa was talking about, stopping for a moment when the repairman walked by. She sighed with desire and didn't see the disgusted look on his face when he saw the red stain right in the middle of her buttocks. Frustrated at Hubert, Angela said, "I thought I hated it when he touched me with his hand, but I think I hate him touching me with his damned bloody stump even more." Hey, it's your boy Michael Knight here again. Thanks for listening in. Hope you check out our next episode from the Street Stories NYC series. You can get your book at thenewyorkcowboy.com, streetstoriesnyc.com, Amazon, Barnes & Noble. Check out a book tonight. Thanks again.